Why do we fall in love? And why do we need solitude? Carl Jung's answer. Have you ever asked yourself why we fall in love? Why one person among thousands suddenly captures our attention? Why someone can remain in our thoughts for years while countless others pass through our lives without leaving any mark? And why do so many people fear being alone, even though solitude may be exactly what they need? These questions have fascinated philosophers, poets, and psychologists for centuries, but Carl Jung offered a different perspective. He believed that love and solitude are not separate experiences. They are two parts of the same journey, a journey toward discovering who we truly are. Perhaps that is why the greatest myths in human history are always about love, loneliness, or both, because they reflect something deep within every human being. Let's begin with love. Why do we fall in love? Most people believe they fall in love because of someone's appearance, personality, or way of speaking. But Jung believed the process goes much deeper. According to him, we do not simply fall in love with another person. We fall in love with an inner image that already exists within us, an image of the ideal partner. When we meet someone who resembles that image, we feel an intense attraction. It feels as though we have found something we have been searching for our entire lives. The problem is that this image is often not real, and this is where the myth of Narcissus becomes relevant. Narcissus was a young man of extraordinary beauty. Everyone admired him, many fell in love with him, but he loved no one. One day he saw his reflection in the water and became captivated by it. Believing it to be someone else, he fell deeply in love with the image. Unable to leave it behind, he remained there until he perished. At first glance, this story may seem strange, yet it mirrors what many people do in relationships. We fall in love with an image we have created in our minds. Then we convince ourselves that we are in love with the actual person. We see perfection where none exists. We project qualities onto them that we have never truly observed. We ignore flaws. We fill in the gaps with our own fantasies. Then, as time passes, reality begins to emerge. The illusion fades. The person does not necessarily change. We simply begin to see them for who they really are. This is why some relationships collapse, not because the love was fake, but because the fantasy was stronger than reality. Jung believed that real love begins when the illusion ends, when you see another person completely, their strengths, their weaknesses, their beauty, their imperfections, and you choose them anyway. But love does not only test us through illusion, it also tests us through fear. And here we can remember the myth of Orpheus and Eurydice. Orpheus loved Eurydice deeply. When she died, he could not accept her loss, so he descended into the underworld to bring her back. After a long journey, he was given a single condition. He could lead her back to the world of the living, but he must not look back until they had completely escaped. All he had to do was trust. Yet just before reaching safety, fear overcame him. Doubt entered his mind. He turned around, and in that moment Eurydice disappeared forever. How many relationships have ended in the same way? How many people have destroyed something beautiful because fear became stronger than trust? How many have lost someone they loved because they could not let go of their insecurity? Jung believed that love requires courage. Because love can never be fully controlled, there are no guarantees. There is always vulnerability, and there is always risk. Another myth that beautifully reflects Jung's ideas is the story of Eros and Psyche. Eros fell deeply in love with Psyche, but he never allowed her to see his face. Over time, doubt began to grow inside her. Eventually, she gave in to her fears and tried to uncover the truth. As a result, she lost him. What followed was a long journey filled with challenges, suffering, and transformation. Only after she matured and grew wiser was she able to reunite with him. This story resembles the journey of many relationships. We begin with dreams and idealism, then we encounter uncertainty, then pain, then growth. And through that process we become different people. Perhaps love is not merely a relationship between two individuals. Perhaps it is also a path towards self-discovery. But this raises an important question. If love is so meaningful, why are so many people terrified of being alone? Why do some people avoid solitude at all costs? This brings us to the second part of our journey, solitude and isolation. In today's world, people are more connected than ever before, yet many feel lonelier than ever. The reason is simple. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It is the absence of genuine connection. You can sit in a room full of people and still feel completely alone, and you can sit quietly by yourself and feel deeply at peace. Jung made an important distinction between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is suffering. Solitude is a choice. Loneliness drains you. Solitude helps you discover yourself. Jung believed that psychological growth is impossible without periods of solitude, because when the noise of the world disappears, something else becomes audible, your own voice, your own thoughts, your own truth. And this is exactly what many people fear. They fear confronting themselves, their wounds, their regrets, their insecurities, their hidden desires. That is why many people constantly seek distractions. Relationships, work, social media, entertainment, anything that prevents them from sitting alone with their thoughts. Yet myths throughout history tell us that wisdom does not come from distraction. It comes from confrontation. Consider Odin from Norse mythology. Despite being the king of the gods, wisdom did not come easily to him. He chose sacrifice. He chose isolation. He endured suffering and solitude in pursuit of deeper knowledge. The message is clear. True growth often requires stepping away from the noise. It requires moments of stillness, moments when we are alone with ourselves.